She only needed some help, yet the strange girl, chosen forever. HFY Stories. Best HFY Stories. The sun hung low over the desert-like plains of Xantora, casting long golden streaks over the sand and rusted metal. Dust swirled around the old settlement of Rykov Station, a small cluster of buildings barely holding themselves together, with the occasional hum of hovering transport vehicles passing overhead. Life here was hard, but it was all the locals had ever known. Eli Donovan walked along the main street, his boots kicking up little clouds of dust with each step. He had the kind of calm confidence that only came from years of living on the edge of the frontier. His brown jacket was worn, the kind that smelled faintly of smoke and oil. A wide-brimmed hat shaded his face, hiding the sharp green of his eyes. He wasn't a stranger to trouble, but he preferred to avoid it. As he passed the old diner at the corner of Rykov Station, he noticed something unusual. A girl, sitting alone on the metal steps outside, her knees pulled up to her chest. She had bright blue hair that shimmered strangely under the setting sun, almost like it wasn't completely natural. Her clothes were odd, too, tight and sleek, with glimmers of silver along the seams. She didn't look like she belonged here. Eli slowed his pace and tilted his head, curious. The girl was humming softly, a tune that sounded familiar but distant, like a song carried through space. She looked fragile but determined, like she had been through things no one should endure and yet refused to be broken. "Hey," Eli said, his voice low but firm. "You lost?" The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes were pale violet, almost glowing, reflecting the last rays of the sun. She blinked, and for a moment Eli could see a flicker of fear. I just need some help," she said quietly. Her voice was soft, but it carried weight. She wasn't asking for a handout, she was asking for someone to understand. Eli raised an eyebrow. "Help with what?" She hesitated, glancing around as if worried someone might overhear. I need to get off this planet. I need to find someone." Eli's brow furrowed. Most people didn't come to Rykov Station for casual tourism. The place was remote, dusty, and often ignored by the rest of the galaxy. Whoever she was looking for, it must be important. "Off this planet, huh?" he said slowly. "You don't have a ship, I take it?" She shook her head. I can't operate one. Not yet. Please, I don't have much time." Eli studied her for a moment. He had learned over the years that strangers often brought trouble, but sometimes they also brought opportunity. And there was something about this girl. Something beyond the unusual hair, beyond the strange clothes, something in the way she looked at him, like she already trusted him, even though they had never met. "All right," Eli said finally. "I can help you. But you have to tell me everything. Start from the beginning." The girl's lips trembled and she nodded. "My name is Lyra," she said. I came here because someone is trying to find me. Someone who shouldn't. I only have one chance to escape, and I need someone who knows the frontier to help me. That's why She hesitated. "That's why I came to you." Eli felt a strange pull in his chest. He didn't know why, but he wanted to believe her. He wanted to help her. The frontier had taught him caution, but it had also taught him loyalty. Sometimes, doing the right thing meant trusting a gut feeling. "Okay, Lyra," he said. "You've got it, but we move fast. Nothing here waits for anyone, and if you're being hunted, we don't waste time." Her eyes widened slightly. "You really will help me?" Eli nodded. "If we're doing this, we do it right. No half measures." Lyra smiled faintly. It was the first sign of hope Eli had seen in her since he arrived, and somehow it made him feel lighter. They spent the next hour walking toward the edge of the station, where the old transport docks sat. Eli explained the basics. They needed to find a ship capable of leaving Xantora quickly, but it couldn't be one anyone could track easily. The galaxy was full of eyes, and Lyra's pursuers weren't ordinary. Eli could tell from the way she flinched at shadows, the way she constantly checked the skies. "I don't understand," he said as they walked past a row of silent, rusting spacecraft. "Why me? Why here?" Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes locking onto his. "Because I can tell you're different. You don't just follow orders. You see people, really see them, and I need someone who will notice me, really notice me. Otherwise," her voice broke, and she quickly looked away. Eli felt a lump in his throat. He wasn't used to people trusting him so easily, let alone someone so clearly in danger. But there was no doubt in her gaze. She wasn't asking. she was choosing. As the last light of the sun dipped below the horizon, they reached a small, nondescript hangar at the edge of the settlement. Inside, a sleek ship waited, humming quietly, engines idling. Eli frowned. It wasn't his ship, but it looked fast, capable. Whoever owned it had left it ready, almost like they were expecting someone to take it. "This ship will get us off-world," Eli said. "But we need a plan. If your pursuers are coming, we can't just blast off blindly."
"We need to stay under the radar."
Lyra nodded, her hair shimmering faintly under the hangar lights. I know where we can go," she whispered. "Someplace safe. A place no one will think to look for me. But," she paused, taking a deep breath, "I can't get there alone." Eli looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in a long time he felt a spark of purpose. Not just to survive, not just to explore, but to protect someone who truly needed him. "Then we go together," he said firmly. "No one leaves anyone behind, Lyra. That's the way the frontier works." Her lips curved into a small, grateful smile. "Thank you," she said softly. For the first time that day, the desert seemed less harsh. The wind that blew across the plains felt like it carried possibilities instead of dust. Two strangers, brought together by chance, or maybe fate, were about to step into a journey that neither could fully understand yet. The hum of the ship's engines grew louder as Eli checked the controls. The hangar lights reflected off Lyra's strange hair, making her look almost like she belonged to another world entirely. And maybe she did. Eli Donovan, frontier traveler and reluctant hero, was about to take the most unusual passenger of his life across the stars. And Lyra, the strange girl who only needed a little help, had just chosen him to be her guide, her protector, and maybe something more. As the hangar doors slowly opened to reveal the endless twilight sky, the two of them stepped into the unknown. Dust swirled around their boots, stars began to sparkle in the vast heavens above, and a quiet sense of adventure settled in the air. Some journeys start with a whisper. Some journeys start with a choice. And this journey, this one, had begun with a simple yet profound truth. Sometimes, the right person shows up exactly when you need them most. And for Eli and Lyra, that moment had come. The ship hummed quietly as Eli guided it out of Rykov Station. The hangar doors had swung open to reveal the twilight sky, and stars stretched endlessly above like tiny lanterns scattered across a black velvet canvas. Lyra sat beside him, her hands folded nervously in her lap, glancing out at the horizon as the settlement disappeared beneath them. "You've never flown a ship like this before, have you?" Eli asked, eyes on the controls. Lyra shook her head. "I've studied ships a lot, but I've never flown one myself. I'm not even sure I could, not yet." Eli smiled faintly. "Don't. Just hang on and enjoy the ride." For a moment they were silent, letting the stars fill the space between them. Eli could feel Lyra's tension. He had learned that the best way to calm someone in panic wasn't to rush them, but to let them breathe, to let them trust the rhythm of life around them. And in space, the rhythm was steady. Quiet hum of engines, gentle vibrations underfoot, the slow drift of the stars. "So, where are we going?" Lyra asked finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Someplace safe," Eli said. "A station far from Rykov, one that doesn't appear on most galactic charts. We can lay low there until we figure out your next step." Lyra's violet eyes lit up with a mixture of hope and doubt. "Safe, you think anywhere is truly safe?" Eli glanced at her. "Safe enough for now. That's all we need. One step at a time." The first few hours passed quietly. Lyra asked questions about the frontier, about life on different planets, about the small routines Eli had developed over years of travel. She laughed softly at some of his stories, and the sound warmed the small cockpit more than the dim glow of the control panels ever could. "I like you, Eli," she said suddenly, almost shyly. You're calm, but not cold. You notice things." Eli blinked, caught off guard. Most people didn't compliment travelers. They complained about the heat, the dust, the long waits. But Lyra, she noticed. She saw him. And in a world full of indifferent stars and lonely planets, that meant something. "Thanks," he said a little awkwardly. "I notice what matters." She smiled, and for a moment the universe outside didn't feel so vast and empty. But soon the calm gave way to tension. The ship's sensors beeped softly, a warning that something unusual had entered the space near them. Eli leaned forward, scanning the readouts. "Nothing aggressive," he said. though his voice carried a note of concern. "But something's following us. Not very fast, but it's persistent." Lyra's hands gripped the edge of her seat. "They're already looking for me?" Eli nodded. "Seems like it. Whoever's after you doesn't waste time." She swallowed hard. "I told you I can't let them find me." "Then we'll make sure they don't," Eli said calmly. "There's more than one way to stay safe in space." They adjusted their route, weaving through asteroid fields and veering near small, uninhabited moons to throw off any trackers. Lyra watched, fascinated, as Eli manipulated the ship with skill born from years of living on the frontier. "How do you know all this?" she asked. "I've had to survive in places nobody else wanted," Eli replied. "Frontier life teaches you tricks. The galaxy is full of people looking for trouble, or for someone like you. You just have to be clever." Lyra nodded, impressed. "I wish I had your confidence." "You will," Eli said, "but first you need to trust yourself. Trust that you can make it through this." Hours passed as stars shifted and the dark expanse of space stretched on. And yet, despite the threat nearby, a quiet bond was forming between them. Lyra began to share bits of her story, carefully, as though revealing secrets to someone fragile and precious. "I wasn't always on the run," she admitted. "I was studying with a team on another planet. We were working on something. Something that some people would do anything to get their hands on. I didn't finish the project. I had to leave." Eli listened closely. Sounds like your work is valuable." "It is," she said. "Too valuable." "That's why they're chasing me. I don't want it falling into the wrong hands." He nodded, understanding more now why she had come to him. Most travelers would have dismissed her story as fantasy, but Eli knew better. Life on the frontier was unpredictable. People and machines could hide things far more extraordinary than anyone imagined. "I've got an idea," Eli said after a long pause. "There's a station not far from here. It's mostly abandoned, hidden in an asteroid belt. The sensors don't pick it up easily. We can stay there, hide, and figure out our next step." Lyra's violet eyes widened. "Really? That could work?" "It could," he said. "But we'll have to be careful, no mistakes. One slip, and they find you." They approached the asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks and debris, the ship's thrusters sending small jets of light across the shadows. Lyra's fear was palpable, but so was her growing trust in Eli. "Almost there," he murmured, eyes on the controls. "Just a few more minutes." The abandoned station emerged from the shadows, a forgotten relic of commerce and travel. Its metal walls were scarred, and the docking bay was partially collapsed, but it was perfect for hiding. Eli guided the ship inside, the engines echoing softly against the hollow chambers. "Here we are," he said, shutting down the engines. "Safe for now." Lyra exhaled a long breath, her shoulders relaxing for the first time since leaving Rykov. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling with relief. I didn't think anyone would help me," Ellie shrugged modestly. "Most people don't, but I do." They spent the next few hours exploring the station. Dust covered most surfaces, and plants had begun growing in the cracks of the floor and walls. Sunlight filtered through small openings, created long golden beams that danced across the metal. It felt alive in a strange, quiet way. "This could be our home for a while," Eli said, looking around. "We can patch things up, make it comfortable, and plan our next move." Lyra smiled faintly. "It's beautiful in a strange way. Peaceful." "Peaceful enough," Eli agreed. "But don't get too comfortable. Space has a way of shaking things up when you least expect it." As night fell, they sat together on the edge of the docking bay, looking out at the asteroid field. Stars twinkled like distant fires, and Lyra leaned slightly against Eli. "You really saved me," she said softly. I feel like I don't have to be afraid anymore." Eli glanced at her. "You don't. Not while I'm around. And I'll help you figure out what comes next, one step at a time." Lyra's violet eyes sparkled in the dim light. "I think I chose the right person." Eli felt something stir inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. Life on the frontier was lonely, unpredictable, and often harsh. But moments like this, moments where trust and care mattered more than danger or fear, made it worth everything. They didn't know what awaited them beyond the station. The galaxy was vast, and Lyra's pursuers could appear at any time. But for now, in the quiet hum of an abandoned station among the stars, they had something rare, a fragile growing connection. Eli leaned back, letting the quiet wash over him. He knew challenges were coming. He could feel it in the subtle shifts of the sensors, the way the stars seemed to move around them. But he also knew he wasn't alone anymore. And Lyra, the strange girl who only needed help, had chosen him forever. Not because he was perfect, or because he had all the answers, but because he was the one she could trust. And trust, Eli knew, was often stronger than any weapon, faster than any ship, and more powerful than any danger lurking in the void. The night stretched on, the stars endless above them, and as they sat together in silence, they both understood the same thing. The journey had only just begun. But with each other, the unknown didn't feel so terrifying anymore. The abandoned station hummed softly as Eli and Lyra settled in for the first night. Dust particles floated lazily through the beams of starlight that streamed through the cracked metal walls. Despite its age, the station felt alive, as if it were waiting for someone to restore it to purpose. Eli had grown accustomed to the quiet rhythm of frontier life, but for Lyra, the stillness was almost magical. "I can't believe no one uses this place anymore," she whispered, running her fingers along the rough metal railing of the docking bay. "It feels like a secret the galaxy forgot." Eli nodded. That's the beauty of places like this. Most people only see the maps. They don't notice what's hidden in the gaps between stars. For a while, they explored the corridors together, discovering rooms filled with old crates, some containing tools, others dusty supplies left by past travelers. Lyra's curiosity was infectious, and she moved with a cautious excitement, like a child discovering a playground. "This is perfect," she said finally, stopping in a small observation deck. The glass dome above them showed the asteroid field in stunning detail. "We can hide here, and we can watch the stars while we think of our next step." Eli smiled faintly. "Perfect, until someone finds us. Then we'll need a plan." She looked at him, a question in her violet eyes. "Do you really think they'll find me?" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Maybe, but we'll be ready if they do. You're smart, and we've got time to prepare." For the next several hours, they organized the station, finding places to store supplies, cleaning some sections, and even rigging small systems to provide light and warmth. The station, though old, seemed to respond to their care. Lyra's presence, full of wonder and determination, made the place feel more like home than any ship or settlement had ever felt for Eli. As they worked, Lyra opened up more about herself. "My project, it wasn't just science," she said softly, holding a small, sleek device she had hidden in her backpack. "It was about understanding people. Understanding how they think, how they feel, how they connect. But some people didn't like what we were discovering. They wanted control, not understanding." Eli studied the device, careful not to touch it. "So they came after you because your work could change things in ways they don't like?" "Yes," she admitted. "I left because I didn't want it falling into the wrong hands, but I didn't know where to go. That's why I sought you out." Eli leaned back against a support beam. "Most people would have run the other way, but not me. I've learned that helping someone like you, it's worth the risk." Her eyes softened, and she smiled faintly. "I'm glad you think that." The next day, they explored deeper into the station. They discovered a library filled with old star charts, logs of travelers, and data cores from long-abandoned research. Lyra's curiosity sparked immediately. "These logs? They might tell us more about my pursuers," she said, examining a dusty terminal. "If someone has been tracking strange energy signals, maybe I can find out who they are and why they want me." Eli leaned over her shoulder, scanning the data. "Be careful. Even old tech can have surprises." For hours, they sifted through the logs. Lyra's violet eyes lit up as she discovered patterns, signals that suggested someone had been following her journey from afar, even before she reached Rykov. "They've been tracking me for months," she said quietly. "I never knew. I thought I had escaped them." Ellie put a hand on her shoulder. "We'll stay ahead of them. That's all that matters now." As night fell again, a soft hum echoed through the station. Eli and Lyra paused, listening. It was subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but it grew steadily. "What is that?" Lyra asked, a trace of fear in her voice. Eli frowned. "Not sure. Could be the old station systems, or maybe something else. Let's check it out." They followed the sound to the main engineering bay. Dust covered most of the machinery, but one console flickered to life on its own, displaying a simple message. "I know where you are. Come to me." Lyra froze, her hands gripping the edge of the console. "They found me." "Already?" Eli placed a calm hand on her arm. "Not yet. But they know we're here. And that means we need to move smart. She nodded, swallowing hard. I don't know who it is, but I trust you, Eli. You'll keep me safe, right? He met her gaze, his green eyes steady. Always. And you'll help too. We'll figure this out together. The console went dark, leaving the station in silence again, but neither of them slept easily that night. Instead, they talked, planning their next steps, discussing potential allies, and thinking of ways to stay ahead of whoever had sent the message. In the early hours of the next morning, Lyra led Eli to a small maintenance corridor she had noticed the day before. There's a hidden exit here, she whispered. It leads to an old shuttle bay that's mostly forgotten. If we need to leave quickly, Eli nodded. Good thinking. We always need options. Together they inspected the hidden shuttle, a small vessel that could carry them silently through the asteroid field. It was old but functional, and with some adjustments it would be perfect for stealth travel. Lyra worked alongside Eli, her hands steady as she followed his instructions. For the first time she felt capable, not just a passenger relying on someone else. As they prepared the shuttle, Lyra spoke softly. Ellie, I think I'm beginning to understand why I chose you. You don't just react to things. You think ahead. You protect not just with your strength, but with your mind. Eli gave a small smile. That's the frontier. You learn that brains are just as important as courage, and maybe sometimes a little trust goes a long way. Lyra laughed quietly, a sound full of relief and warmth. I never thought I'd find someone like you in the middle of nowhere. They finished preparing the shuttle and returned to the main station. As they looked out at the asteroid field, stars twinkling in the distance, both felt the weight of the galaxy pressing on them. Lyra's pursuers were still out there, moving quietly, watching and waiting. But for now, they had a plan, a safe place to hide, and each other. Eli put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We're ready. No matter what comes, we'll face it together. The frontier doesn't forgive mistakes, but it rewards cleverness. And we've got plenty of that. Lyra leaned against him slightly, feeling safer than she had in months. I never thought anyone could care so much for someone they just met. But I feel like I can trust you with my life. Ellie's jaw tightened slightly, feeling the gravity of her words. You can, and I'll do everything I can to make sure you're safe. That's a promise. As the day faded, a faint light appeared on the horizon, a signal from one of the old communication towers nearby. Eli and Lyra watched, unsure if it was friend or foe. But in that moment they realized something important. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were moving forward. And moving forward meant hope. For Lyra, the strange girl who had only needed a little help, the future suddenly felt less frightening. And for Eli, the frontier traveler who had once walked alone, life had suddenly gained a purpose he hadn't expected, but one he wasn't willing to let go of. Together, in an abandoned station among forgotten stars, they prepared for whatever came next, knowing that the galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges. But for the first time, they didn't face it alone. And as the twin suns of a distant system began to rise over the asteroid field, casting golden light on the station, both Eli and Lyra understood something quietly but profoundly. The journey ahead would be long, uncertain, and full of mysteries, but they would face it together, side by side, with trust, hope, and courage guiding them. The galaxy could wait. For now, they had each other. The hidden shuttle floated silently among the asteroids, shadows shifting as distant stars glittered. Eli and Lyra had tested its engines, calibrated its systems, and now, with their destination in sight, the weight of the galaxy seemed to settle around them. There was no panic, no fear, only careful focus and determination. We should be able to reach the other side of the asteroid belt without being detected, Eli said, eyes scanning the navigation panel. If we stick to the shadows, no one will know we're here. Lyra nodded, her violet eyes bright with resolve. I'll help. I can monitor the sensors and check for any signals. Together they worked in quiet harmony, the small cockpit alive with shared purpose. For the first time since leaving Rykov, Lyra felt capable, not just fleeing, but guiding, assisting, and contributing. As they glided between enormous rocks and space debris, the shuttle's sensors picked up faint anomalies, small pulses of energy, irregular but noticeable. Eli studied them carefully. Nothing aggressive, he said, but these could be scouts. Someone is still watching. Lyra's hands flew over the controls. We can adjust our route, go deeper into the asteroid field. They won't be able to follow easily. Ellie smiled faintly. Exactly. Lead the way, Lyra. The shuttle dipped into tighter clusters of asteroids, winding between rocks large enough to hide entire stations. Light from distant suns glinted off metal surfaces, creating dazzling reflections that almost disoriented their sensors. But Lyra remained steady, her focus unwavering. Hours passed like this, careful navigation through the asteroid labyrinth, until finally a small clearing opened before them. A vast hollow space, sheltered by massive asteroids and cradling a little-known colony. The colony was quiet, its buildings reflecting the soft light of nearby stars. It was hidden, off all major maps, and seemed perfect. "This is it," Eli said, relief in his voice. "A place to stay, and to finally rest." Lyra's lips curved into a genuine smile. "It's beautiful. I can breathe here." They landed softly in an abandoned docking area. The colony was quiet but functional. It had clean water, power from solar panels, and small greenhouses that still produced food. Eli guided them inside, showing Lyra how to interface with the colony systems. "This'll do for now," he said. "We can settle in, plan for your next steps, and make sure no one finds us." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "I never imagined I'd find a place like this. And, I never imagined I'd find someone like you," Ellie shrugged modestly. "I'm just here." "You did all the hard work." She shook her head. "No, you helped me when I had no one else." "You saw me when no one else would. That's not nothing." They spent the next few days restoring small parts of the colony, checking systems, and slowly making it livable. Lyra explored cautiously, but with curiosity, discovering hidden rooms, tools, and even a small library. She read, she learned, and she grew more confident with each passing day. Eli watched her, feeling a strange mixture of pride and awe. "You've changed," he said one evening, as they watched twin moons rise in the distance. "You're stronger than you realize." "I feel stronger," Lyra admitted, "because you trusted me. You didn't treat me like a passenger or someone weak. You treated me like I could make a difference." Eli looked at her, his eyes steady. "You already have. More than you know." Their peace was not disturbed, but one day as they tested the colony's communications array, Lyra noticed something unusual. A faint signal, masked by static, was coming from nearby space. "They're here," she whispered. Eli frowned, not necessarily hostile, but definitely curious. They decided to investigate, carefully launching the shuttle into orbit. The signal grew stronger, and soon a small ship emerged from behind a cluster of asteroids. It hovered silently, scanning. But instead of aggression, its sensors revealed something unexpected. It wasn't a pursuer in the traditional sense. It was a messenger, an envoy sent to communicate. Lyra's eyes widened. They want to talk? After all this?" Eli nodded. "Let's see what they have to say." The envoy docked gently beside their shuttle. A holographic projection flickered to life inside the cabin, showing a serene figure in flowing robes. Their voice was calm, almost gentle. "Lyra," the figure said, "we know you've been running, but we do not seek to harm."
We wish to understand.
Lyra blinked, confused. "Understand? After everything? You followed me?" "Yes," the figure replied. "We were wrong to pursue you blindly. Your work, your intentions, they are not dangerous. And we wish to help, if you are willing." Eli glanced at Lyra. "What do you think?" She hesitated, then met his gaze. I think they've misunderstood me, but I also think we need answers. I've waited too long to hide. It's time to speak." The figure smiled faintly. "Then let us speak, and find a way forward together." They entered the envoy ship, carefully, as Lyra explained everything, her project, the discoveries, and the danger she had faced. The envoy listened patiently, asking questions, clarifying points, and showing understanding. For the first time, Lyra felt relief, not fear, not doubt, but calm certainty. When the discussion ended, the envoy extended a promise. Lyra's work would be protected, her discoveries shared only with those who valued understanding over control, and she would never be pursued again. Lyra exhaled, tears of relief gathering in her eyes. I can finally be free." Eli smiled warmly. "You've earned it, you fought smart, you trusted carefully, and you never gave up." They returned to the hidden colony, a place now safe and filled with possibility. Lyra walked through the rooms with newfound confidence, exploring, laughing, and even planting a small garden in the greenhouse. Eli watched her, feeling the quiet satisfaction of someone who had done right, not just surviving, but helping someone grow. That evening, under a sky filled with stars, Lyra turned to Eli. You didn't just help me survive, you helped me believe in myself. And I think I chose you for a reason. You were the one who saw me when no one else would. Eli looked at her, a faint warmth in his expression. And I'll keep seeing you, Lyra, not because I have to, but because I want to. We faced the galaxy together, and I'm not letting go. A soft smile curved Lyra's lips. Then I choose you too. Not just for now, but forever. For a long time, they watched the stars, silent but connected. They had faced uncertainty, hidden from danger, and discovered trust and understanding in a galaxy that often lacked both. And now, in a quiet corner of the universe, two souls had found each other, not by chance, but by choice. The hidden colony became their home. Eli maintained it, Lyra studied and explored, and together they welcomed travelers, repaired ships, and shared knowledge. Word spread slowly, carefully, that there was a place where people could find safety, understanding, and friendship. And those who came never forgot the two who had chosen each other when the galaxy seemed dark. Lyra often walked to the observation deck, looking out at the stars, thinking about the journey that had brought her here. She remembered the fear, the running, the uncertainty, but also the quiet bravery of someone who had reached out, guided her, and protected her not with weapons, but with trust and care. Eli joined her, as he always did.
You're thinking about the past, he said softly.
I am, Lyra admitted. But it doesn't scare me anymore. Not with you here. He smiled. Good. Because the future is ours to shape, together. And under the endless sky, two travelers, one a frontier survivor, the other a brilliant mind who had only needed help, stood side by side. They had faced the unknown, navigated fear, and discovered trust. And in the quiet of the stars, they knew the same truth. Sometimes, the right person appears at the right time. And when that happens, life is no longer a journey of fear, but a journey of choice, hope, and togetherness. Lyra had only needed some help, but in choosing Eli, she had found forever. And Eli, who had wandered the stars alone for so long, had finally found someone worth standing beside, no matter what lay ahead. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them. Adventure awaited. Challenges would come. But for now, they were safe, and that was enough. Together they had discovered something the stars could not give, a home in each other.